Have you ever spun yourself into the ground with thinking? I mean, you start to try to think about how to get the lost balance. She's leaving, or they're doing this, or what's going to happen. And you start thinking, and then more thought, and then more thought, and more thought. And then what happens? Tell the truth, you have a breakdown. One way or the other, you have a breakdown. You either fall into a deep depression, you either get angry at someone or something, find something to justify the negative states coursing through. And in the midst of all that, what is thought doing while it's breaking you, while negative states are tearing into you? What is thought doing? It's saying, this is necessary. This is natural, man. This has to happen because, you see, we're going to work all of this out. And then you say, okay, let's work it out. And it works you over again. Now, more of this is necessary to talk about. We can prove that thought is not intended to balance our lives by something very simple. And I pulled this right out of the Associated Press, and I want you to listen to this. Did you know that over 3.5 billion human beings have a monthly prescription for drugs? And over 125,000 Americans died last year from drug reactions, which makes, by the way, those reactions the fourth leading national cause of death after heart disease, cancer, and stroke. The pharmaceutical industry served up more than $250 billion worth of sales last year, which is exactly almost the same amount of money as all the gas stations pumping all the gas in the United States. $250 billion worth of prescriptions. And the last comment is that well over 65% of individuals over the age of 70 must take psychotropic drugs in order to remain balanced. Now, here's what's happened. Just like my muscles that had atrophied, that weren't being used, started to call on things that were necessary in the physical body, but that finally broke down, thought continues to call on thought. And then when thought can't reconcile it, it finds something else outside of itself. Someone to blame. It'll find a drug. It'll find an alcohol. It'll find an enemy. It'll find something outside of itself to do what? To balance itself. To make it feel as though it's still in control of life. Now, the reason this is so important is because the same exact principle. Here's overworked muscles reach a point where they can't relax. Yes or no? How many of you reached a point where you can't relax? Do you see what I'm saying? See, relaxation isn't collapsing. How many of you collapse at night? You watch TV, read, do something so that the mind won't bother you till you finally pass out. See, we have reached a chronic state as human beings where using thought in order to balance the imbalance that thought itself engenders has produced a psychopathic culture. That's the only explanation for the entertainment, the things that one sees, the drugs, all of the ways in which people take their lives and spend them. And I mean no offense to anyone here, but I want to ask you, how in the world did someone invent a contest to see how far a dog can jump off a dock into water and have 10,000 people there watching it? I hope none of you do that. The point is that we're desperate for something to distract us from the perpetual imbalance that the mind is going through, searching for ways to balance itself with thought. It can't do it. Now, what is then that which balances? What is that which allows this nature, this divided nature, this nature that works in opposites? What is it that would permit it the peace it seeks? What is it that creates balance in a human being? And this is beautiful. I go back to what I said at the top of the talk, that which creates balance is itself greater than the balancing it does. It is larger, more broader, if you will, encompassing, and already exists before the opposites do. It is not thought that we must turn to for balance, but we must turn to awareness of thought to create balance. Awareness of thought is the only thing that can balance thought. Why? Because awareness, the light in it, recognizes imbalance. The awareness, the light of awareness recognizes imbalance. We've all felt those moments. Try so hard to see this. How many of you had that moment where you knew you were about to, you could feel it? You know, thought pulling you over here, a feeling pulling. You knew it, you could feel it. And in that moment, instead of doing what is necessary and natural for the human being who wants a balanced mind and a balanced heart, who wants love to be their guide, we got seduced by that thought that started telling us what we had to do, telling us how to answer that disturbance, who to call on the phone, what to straighten out.